and our
Hey, sir, how about you shut it for a second? We're already live.
So kick back and stay tuned and enjoy the show. Finish up that text, Shelton.
You're on.
We're hot. Your mic's hot,
Ready to go.
Hey, will you shut that door?
I will.
and it's casual Wednesday, I guess.
It is.
Because Maddie's in running shorts. You're the only one dressed up, Shelton. You're the only one that come in a button-down shirt. You're making everybody feel underdressed.
Accident.
Hey, this is a local law enforcement hour. This is John Myers, Sheriff of Lawrence County. Co-host Blake Grooms over there, captain with the Lawrenceburg Police Department.
Go ahead and let him say it.
Yes, we might as well get that disclaimer out of the way.
Shelton, he
I
has
love
to
it.
say this every time.
I love it.
City employee, you know how it is. The opinions and views that I may share today are those of my own. They may or may not reflect the opinions and views of the city of Lawrenceburg and the Lawrenceburg Police Department. So now let's talk.
He's got it down to a T now.
We need that on the wall somewhere. We need
It's
to
like
hang
the
it.
motto of the show.
We need to hang it on the wall behind him where it says all that.
I feel like it should be like Wile E. Coyote and just hold up that sign with a disclaimer and just sit here and smile. But anyway.
I just need to make a sound bite of it. That way I can just hit the button every time.
There you
that's
go.
a
And
great
so
idea.
after his intro, you can just introduce yourself, and then it can just be pre-recorded, so that way you don't mess up.
Kind of like the Hodge twins, just like BAM, and then you hit the button.
And you can do it in some goofy sounding voice,
We
like
put
a
some
little
music behind it.
Get one of Maddie's daughters, one of her 14 kids, to come up here and do it.
I have 3 kids, by the way, not 14. I have one more than he does, and he says I have 1 million.
I might bring my 4-year-old little boy in here and let him do it.
That would be so
I
cute.
think that would be
Yes, we can do that.
He did the Pledge of Allegiance. Came in here a few months back. Well, it was right before he turned 4, and Molly recorded it and shot it to me in an email. Precious. Anyway, Sheldon, good to have you.
Glad to be here.
Do you have to say anything that
Yeah,
your
what about
views
your
do not
disclaimer?
reflect?
Everybody knows I'm politically incorrect.
Okay, got it.
He don't work for anybody. He works for himself. He's his own boss. Nobody's gonna give him any crap. He's Shelton Barnett. Everybody knows Shelton.
A man of many hats.
What exactly do you do? Because every time I see you riding around in an $85,000 truck
I wished it was that.
with about 14 antennas.
I wished it was that. Yeah, really.
I'm just giving you a hard
14 antennas.
Everybody knows he's important because you can go by the antennas. There's 2 things you look at. You look at how many antennas he's got on his car and how big his keychain is. See?
That's a true
Little
statement. That is a true statement. So yeah, what do you do, Sheldon?
What do I do? Emergency management. It's a support role for the public safety agencies in basically the United States. We just finished an exercise with the Guard in Nashville, and it wasn't just the state of Tennessee. There was like 5 or 6 different states doing the exercise up there. It's a preparedness thing. We did the comms for the command and control aspect of it with the Tennessee Emergency Management,
Wow.
and it got some real good experience. Hope and pray I never have to use that level of experience in Lawrence County. If you wind up getting deployed like a hurricane or something like that, you sort of expect that, but I hope we never have to see that level of something happening here.
So
Well,
by
when-
training with them, go ahead, Sheriff.
When the weather is turning bad, I don't know how he stays up for like 3 or 4 days at a time. I don't think he sleeps. I don't know if it's black coffee or Red Bull or whatever it is, but you'll be getting texts. You'll get a text at noon, and then it might be 2 a.m. You'll get another text, and he's breaking down the weather that's coming.
But you also conduct like meetings with department heads and stuff to forewarn them, correct?
We shoot it out. We have a distribution list that we send to, and I say I've got a team, great team that works with me. We send that out, try to give them 24 hours notice on something that looks like it should be severe. Of course, it's forecast in God, so you're not going to do that very good, But want to get that information out to the different department heads so they'll have a heads up and they can do their planning stuff to be able to facilitate whatever they need to do for that type of event.
You know when you got a little one sick and they're running a fever and you alternate between Tylenol and ibuprofen. I alternate between Sheldon and Ben Luna. Like I'll be listening to Ben on the radio, and then when it's coming, it's almost here. I tell my wife, I'm fixing to call Sheldon.
Have you been up there at the EOC building back there in the back where they're all lined up during a storm and there's weather coming in? It's like a different language. Unless you're
don't understand it.
Unless you're into that, you don't know what they're talking about. They're talking about numbers and percentages and wind directions and velocity and different types of cloud. I mean, just all kinds of stuff. And I just sit over on my phone and just text away. And when they get done,
it's like they'll tell me when something serious is about to happen.
I'll say, now in layman terms, are we going to get some rain, or is it going to be a tornado?
Yeah, and that's a whole team effort. At 6 p.m. tonight, I've got actually a spotter meeting going on. That is the guys and gals that gets us real-time information from across the county. It feeds into the EOC, then we feed that to the National Weather Service. Got a couple that are actual, what I will term as some chasers. They may go into North Mississippi and bring the storms in so we know what they're doing, what that storm is doing as it comes towards us.
How many of these spotters do you have?
The number
And
varies.
what's the qualification? Because I might be interested.
Yeah.
I think it'd be pretty cool to chase the storm. I'm not going to lie.
And if I can get a
it's
different,
pretty
I don't want to
sweet.
use my own
I
vehicle.
think that would be awesome.
It's pretty sweet. Right now, our numbers fluctuate so much, I could not tell you exactly how many I've got. With the COVID stuff, we couldn't meet, couldn't do the things. However, most of them are ham radio operators or they're in some sort of public safety. Lawrenceburg Police Department did an in-service where they all took the spotter training class. And that gives them some baseline knowledge of what they're looking at. They can see it at a distance and not decide it's a tornado when the wind's up there about 85, 90 miles an hour. And that helps them. They can understand some of the stuff that's going on.
What type of qualifications do you have to have?
What we look for when we're putting people into the spotter, one, they get through that spotter training class so that they can understand some basics. We're doing some stuff now to get them above that level. In the past, we had some speakers like Dr. Bill McCall, Barry Roberts, that works for NASA down he lives down at St. Joe. He's very instrumental in a lot of the training. Getting those guys up to that level, understanding the meteorology aspects, being able to communicate, being able to talk on that ham radio or public safety radio is big because you can only take one cell phone call per time, and the batteries go pretty quick on them stinging things. Where that ham radio, literally we're able to talk to them I can sit down here at the DOC and talk from Memphis to Johnson City all at the same time.
And let me tell you what we need. All right. Why do you always laugh when I start?
Because you always need something. Always.
You don't even know what I'm going to ask.
But
you,
it's...
Hey, speaking of needing, did you ever get a hunting pass at the park?
No, he didn't, and he's not going to. He needs to get over it.
Rachel?
That's a totally different.
She's not listening right
conversation,
now.
And,
Yes, she is.
And
She's faithful.
He'll see her in the morning, and he'll
I'm
annoy
making
her
some
about it.
ground on that.
No, you're not.
I believe I am.
So, I
Anyway.
interrupted. What do you need?
I forgot now since Maddie got me off subject. No, I think can somebody give law enforcement? I've always been a little bit interested in weather, but I look at the radar and I kind of see which way it's coming, and I say, yeah, it's coming this way. It'll probably hit us. But I would like to be able to look at storms like y'all do and have an idea if one's getting stronger, if one's getting weaker, or if it looks like it's going to split us or get the. I would like to know more. I'd like to be able to look at weather coming and know more than what I know, because I really don't know anything. But basically, what I'm saying is I would like to have a little bit of knowledge. That y'all have. And I would like my guys, some of my deputies, to be able to see that.
Yes,
You think y'all can make that happen?
That I can actually, and it's get some post certified. National Weather Service does the spotter training, and just like when they did their in-service, there was a post number for it. That is a distinct possibility. We could get it for just those guys. Get them into the room and have the lead meteorologist from Nashville come down, and she'll do the class. I mean, she may send one Sam or one of the others to do it, but they do a great job, and they use a lot of pictures from around here. And I'm the world's worst. Somebody will send me a picture, and they tell me I blow their phone up there sending them the pictures. But I'll also, when I send a picture up, I put a person's name. That way, if the Weather Service uses it somewhere, that person gets the credit for what they did. And there's some great pictures that's took. Of course, Lawrence County doesn't have any kind of weather at all.
Right.
We're the only county in the state with the F5. So.
Didn't Franklin have a tornado? Wasn't that a confirmed tornado the other day that come?
It
Didn't I
came
see
to
that?
the fair. It was an
Yes.
E0.
Yeah.
Well,
Molly's husband
That's-
was working the
was-
fair
Yes.
for EMA.
wasn't that Sunday? Was that Sunday? Because I'm thinking that was Sunday when I was coming back from Ohio. Thus, the reason why we didn't have our show last week, because I took a vacation up to Ohio and saw some of my family, and my son came over from New Jersey where he's stationed at. But anyway, I was driving back in that weather, and I'm south on 65 coming into Tennessee, and I look at the radar, and I can see all that coming out of the west. And I'm thinking, I wonder how fast that's going. Because I know how fast I'm going. And I know how long it's going to take me to get from here to the house. I wonder if I'm going to beat it. Well, I didn't. I got in Columbia, and as soon as I got on the bypass on 412 headed to Summertown, we hit it. But, and I'm betting it was the same cloud that tornado was reported in, because you could start to see some circulation as I was going under, and I was trying to get my phone out and video it, and I couldn't because of whatever. But anyway, you could see that cloud starting to spin, and it was black. But I'm betting that's the same one that comes
That's
through
more than
Franklin.
likely it.
See, I'm right there with you. It was like a couple years ago. There was something coming out of Tunica, I believe it was. And I mean, just a little bitty something. Of course, I'm dumb when it comes to the weather. And, Sheldon and a few others around here was like, this system is going to build and it's going to be pretty serious by the time it gets here. I'm looking at the radar on my phone. I'm like, what? I'm not going. And then it gets here and, trees are down, power lines down, and everything else. So the formal training, just to be able to look at something and then off the numbers with the education, be able to tell that it's going to be pretty serious when it gets here.
Well,
That'd be nice to know.
If Colin Wood's bracing for impact,
Right.
it's a
Right.
guarantee.
Go get your helmet, put it on.
It's a guarantee. It's going to hit somewhere between Deerfield and Loretta.
Oh, yeah. Deerfield, like ground zero for strong tornadoes.
Is that because it's flat? I mean, what's a tornado need to pick up speed
Deerfield,
and take up?
Etheridge.
It's just
You don't
that-
hear about them going through hilly areas for the most part. It's like flat. It's almost like they go
Well,
where it's flat.
a lot of times, that's sort of been the thinking. But Salt Lake City, which is on a hill itself, got hit by a pretty substantial tornado. You also hear that tornadoes don't hit big cities. Well, Nashville's been hit now,
Right.
3 times?
Yeah, I remember when that last one went through Nashville.
It's crazy how the weather does it. It's like I said, you're trying to forecast God. Bible tells you you're not going to do that. So
Well, I mean, does it,
You know.
it almost every time when it goes over the Tennessee River, it picks up intensity, right?
yeah,
just
well,
thinking.
and we watch
Or
a
Memphis
lot.
when it
Right.
goes over the Mississippi.
Because the way the radar's set, we have what you'll hear Bill and I say in the EOC is a no zone. The radar's looking there, but it's outside of its optimum use. And it looks like everything's dying as it gets to the Tennessee River. It has to get on a little closer for the radar to get into the optimum levels for us to be able to see it. And that's those spotters pay off. Those guys are out there with it, putting ground truth. We work really closely with Wayne County Emergency Management because of the fact that it's going to come through there first. And they just recently had a director change over there, and we're working with him, trying to make things easier for him because it makes things easier for us, the team effort thing. Wayne County just got hit this spring with that one that ran across the north end of the county. We deployed over there, assisted them with some commo, and I mean, a lot of people don't realize this, but when something like that happens, the communities sort of come together. Lawrence County Highway sent some trucks to them to help them get the roads open. Lawrenceburg's Public Works Department sent some trucks over to help them get the roads open. Man, when you get counties like ours, and a tornado comes across there and it lays 3,000 trees across the road in a half mile, you got a mess.
Well, in Wayne County, I don't know if you remember it, Shelton, but when the I believe the kid was autistic,
Yes.
had left on foot on the Natchez Trace,
Yes, sir.
and we staged up over there at 64 and the Trace, and he don't have the volunteers like we have.
No, Lawrence County
He was
is very blessed.
Sheriff Fisher was so appreciative that we come over. They brought the trailer. There was probably 50 volunteer firefighters showed up with ATVs,
Oh, yeah.
and he said, man, I don't have that over here. I don't know. I think they've got a Holly Creek Fire Department. I think they got one or two more.
They've got several that are strode around.
They don't have the volunteer
They just don't
firefighters
have
like we do.
what Lawrence County has, and that volunteer spirit is really strong. I couldn't survive as emergency management director without those guys.
I got asked a while back
some
why
great guys out there.
I don't have a chainsaw in my vehicle, and I refer back. It's a quick story, so bear with me. I told him, I said, I don't need a chainsaw in my vehicle. I've got volunteer firefighters. That was my answer. But it goes back to when I was in Iraq, and where we worked at the checkpoint coming into Baghdad, there was a Russian T-72 tank that sat right beside us, pointed down range down the search pit. And I remember one day there was a heightened level of alert for something. I think it was after the troop withdrawal, maybe right around when ISIS was really starting to form. But anyway, we was getting intel reports every day, keeping us up to speed on what was going on in and around Baghdad. And so it was recommended that we all start wearing our Kevlar every day. We didn't wear our Kevlar every day just because it was so hot, and some days were slower than others. Sometimes we would, sometimes we wouldn't. And we all had M4s that we usually just left in our Suburbans. But that first day we got out on the checkpoint, and we all was in our Kevlar and got out with our M4s and was stacking up magazines by the swamp cooler. And I could see the first sergeant sitting in the tank, sitting on top of the tank turret, manning the machine gun. He was just kind of looking over there, smiling. And I had our interpreter go over, and I said, "All right, yeah, he's got my attention. What's he laughing about?" And they conversed for a little bit, and he said, "You tell the Americans that it's pointless to have an M4 down here when they have a tank." And I said, "Well, I see his point." So that's kind of where I am with a chainsaw in my truck. Why should I have a chainsaw in my truck when I got a volunteer fire department?
Well, I can go
man.
further with that. And it's not just the weather and volunteering and everything else. When I asked him how many hats he has, I can't tell you how many wrecks right here within the city limits we've been on on North Locust, if we have a rush hour, a bad time of day where traffic is just crazy.
Friday at 12.
Right.
Everybody gets off at lunch in Lawrence County on Fridays.
And I
Friday
cannot
12.
tell you how many times I've sit here and been like, man, I wish I knew where Sheldon was at. My phones are in the truck. We're jumping out trying to help as much as we can. And then out of nowhere, you see that truck pull in and then cones
With
just
his
start
14
flying
antennas.
out. Do what?
With his 14 antennas.
Right. So
The truck.
it's not just the weather that he does a good job at and the volunteering. It's a lot of times, Shelton, the biggest thing that grabs people's attention about your job, in my opinion, is just being at the right place at the right time.
Well, emergency management, I got to record him for a PSA. He does a lot more than just weather, like if there's an oil spill, if there are bad wrecks and it's carrying something that may pollute the ground, things like that, too.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
He looks out for creeks and ponds and...
Try to keep the water drinkable.
Yeah, yes.
We're blessed here. We've got some really, really beautiful countryside. I'd like to keep it that way. Our creeks are nice. We have fish in them. I know of places that their creeks can't have fish because the creeks are so polluted.
What was this talking about a creek being polluted? Wasn't there a problem with one of our local creeks having some kind of bacteria in it a month or two ago?
There was a couple of kids got infected with some from the creeks, and it made Facebook. That was the hype on Facebook. The only problem with that is every creek in the state of Tennessee has bacteria like that.
Mm-hmm.
And, no, you don't want to be drinking that raw creek water out of Shoal Creek when you're swimming.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it is a country creek. You can go do the swimming. You can do that kind of stuff.
Did they ever say what it was?
Yeah, it was the same basic bacteria. What you get is from the runoff from basically the cattle in the fields, the deer in the woods, the possums, the squirrels. They all have to use a bathroom, and ain't none of them got these public facilities.
Right.
So, and that's where it came from. Right off the top of my head, I cannot remember what the bacteria was, and the levels weren't at a level of concern. Yes, you could get it.
If it's anything like what I got in Amman, Jordan,
Yeah,
I wouldn't wish that on anybody.
man, some of that stuff.
Oh, me. Now you're also over our reserve, our Lawrence County Sheriff's Office reserve program, right?
Yes, sir.
How long have you been doing that?
I couldn't tell you the exact date that I started. I couldn't. I know it was when Kenny Taylor was sheriff.
Mm-hmm.
It's going back to that far. I don't know the exact date.
That would have been between 2008 and 2012.
Yeah, somewhere in there. I don't know. Doing the emergency management part sort of has taught me the ways to do certain things, and that just sort of falls in to be able to do for you what that kind of training goes with.
First time we met, I didn't know him, but he was working. This would have been in 2014 or 2015, probably 2014 or 2015, when I was working under the last administration. And I just happened to be out. I'd put my gun belt on and got out in my unit and was out tooling around. It was a Friday or Saturday night. Well, he gets in a pursuit. He's out filling in for one of the full-time deputies that had to go home. So he's out working, and he gets in a chase at Barton Tire on Hannibal Road.
Oh, that's a lovely road to.
And I was
pursue.
on Summertown Turnpike out west. So he's calling in the roads, and it's coming right to me. I think I got on Hudson Road and just pulled off the side of the road and was just waiting on it to come by, and sure enough, here it blowed right by me. And we chased him all the way out to Center Red Hill Road, where he wrecked out. I think at Ware Road. It was Center Red Hill and Ware Road. He wrecked out. Well, this idiot thinks he's going to run, and tries to run, and he finds out real quick he's not going to beat me. And I think we caught him about the same time. And anyway, we was fighting this dude. And I believe it was Jason Reynolds. He's my corporal in the courthouse now. He's a little bit bigger than both of us.
Not the guy running that y'all was chasing, just so the listeners understand that.
No.
Reynolds was not the one running.
Well, he got there. And anyway, we apprehended this dude and drug him back to the cars. And I think that was the first time. I met you, which is. That's not uncommon for me. The first time I meet somebody, there's some kind of a crazy incident.
Something crazy going on.
Always. But I knew right then you was a pretty solid guy.
I'm a magnet for that kind of stuff.
And that's not a bad thing. Now, we got the fair coming up.
Yeah.
When's all the briefings and safety meetings and all that stuff going to kick off? Because it's 10 days this year, right?
Yes. It's going to be a 10-day event again. Met with the fair people that does their safety side of it. We've developed an instant action plan so that we have a basic knowledge of who's going to do what. We've got a comms plan, a med plan, where if something does happen, we know what frequencies are there to be used, what they're called on our radios. We can push that information around, give us a command and control aspect so that we can keep things working to keep the chaos down. That command and control aspect is big if you don't try to control and work together, you wind up with such a mess that it's crazy, because three people trying to do the exact same thing, two of them's undoing what one of them's doing to redo it, and you're just not as quick or efficient.
How long has that been put into place, Sheldon?
We've had a limited action plan that would go, but with the Rotary, the CDPD, the Sheriff's Department, we've been working that plan, working it where that we've got it in writing, and that's something big there because you can reference it. This is our second year of having all the different FEMA forms blowed out in a stack that we disseminate amongst the upper level so that everybody knows what the other one's doing, where they're at, and how to communicate with them.
Does it seem to be working pretty good?
Yeah, it works. It works really good. We do a comms plan so that everybody knows what channels where. Back when we had the incident on the Ferris wheel, we didn't have a good comm set out, and literally they were still trying to talk about selling tickets while we were up on the Ferris wheel trying to get a lady off, and we couldn't talk to each other because the way that was going, and that pushed in to building a better comm system so that we can get people off on other stuff.
Speaking of comm system, I got a new radio in my patrol car. I need you to show me how it works.
Just another hat.
It's got like 30 buttons on the face of it, and I'm afraid to touch it. All I do is turn it on and turn it off. I'm afraid. No, seriously, you hit the wrong button, you're jammed, and you can't do nothing.
Or you're talking to Jax.
Yeah. You got it going somewhere else.
Yeah, I'm calling radio
I
station.
just got a text from Molly's husband says, "Hey, I'm listening to you on the radio."
That's terrifying. Butch is listening. You've
Butch-
never met
Butch
Butch.
is online. Butch
Have you? You've never
Molly's
met.
husband. No, I've heard about
Oh,
it.
you need to meet Butch.
Butch,
You would
Butch
love
is a
him.
character.
Butch
I
is
really
hilarious.
like characters
Yeah.
like him. I like working with him on. That's who I was with on this communications exercise. That was there last week. Was with Butch both days up there, and with some of the preliminary stuff that went through. Man, that joker's a wealth of knowledge. I don't say gets all that in that
Coming
head.
from
Well, I don't
That
know
says
who
a
he
lot.
is. I mean, I ain't never met him, but I bet his head's
I
getting
can't
bigger and
believe
bigger right now.
I
listening.
just can't believe as long as you've been coming around here, you've never met Molly's husband, because Butch is in and out of here all the time. He's funny though.
Oh, yeah,
But
yeah.
he is smart when it comes to emergency
Jokers.
management and stuff. He works for the one in Williamson. So
Yes, yeah.
He does like
He's got that
hurricanes and everything.
$85,000 truck with like puts my
27
antennas-
27 antennas.
So getting back to the fair, we have 15 reserves. Not all of
Yes.
our reserves will be there, but we have what, 6, 7, 8 that are working a shift,
Yes, we
and
rotate
then
them
the
through.
is the city going to
Yes.
split up some this year, and they're going to take one side and we take the other,
Right.
and then the Rotary Park has their own security people
Yes.
helping. So
They
I would
run-
say on average, there's at least 20 people,
Yes, 20, 25 people that are uniformed.
right?
Yeah, I was going to say, that's not
that are
counting
that
how
are
many
armed security that's
plainclothes.
working that. Then they'll have 10 or 15 that's just the Rotary security. Then they'll also run some medical stuff where that something happens to somebody, and you'd be surprised how many incidents happen during the fair.
Mm-hmm.
And it's usually, I mean, we've worked full heart attacks where they've coded, up to some little cuts and scrapes, and I fell down and boned my knee up pretty good.
Missing children.
Oh my
Kids
gosh.
get lost. Where's
It-
kids when a parent is missing a kid? Where do they go?
Oh man! Usually, what they need to do is either look for one of those uniformed officers on the midway or the area they're in, get that information to them. The biggest tool that they can do for us is when they walk through the gate, before that kid gets out of their sight,
Take a picture.
take a picture. It's amazing to me how many parents can tell us that their kid is missing. They've got blonde hair, green shirt, and blue jeans on. When we find them, it's brown hair,
Green
blue
hair,
shirt.
blue shirt.
and I mean,
And
the
red
clothes
pants.
are totally different. It's like, well, I thought that's what they had on. Also, because we basically have as many lost kids as we have lost adults. The kids know where they're supposed to be, just the adults aren't there. Make a bracelet, put on your kid, put cell phone number for you and your name.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing how many of these young kids that we have. It's like, I don't know where my parents are.
Yeah.
If they'll do that, there's some that recommend writing it with a Sharpie on the back of their hand or something. Just make a little bracelet. And we probably spend, of the time there at the fair, 2/3 of our time is spent searching for lost kids or lost parents. And that picture, oh my goodness, we all have with social media, the group apps, we all can share these pictures and we get an actual, what that kid looks like minutes before, and we're able to find them easier. You'll be surprised how many times that confusion goes on.
So you would think as many apps as we have, like Find My iPhone and, what 3 words and so on and so forth, we have as many lost people at a county
Oh,
fair,
man.
but I'm sure we do.
It is unreal. It's gotten better. I remember nights where we'd have 15 missing kids, but it's gotten a whole lot better. And I think a lot of that is because of those little apps. The kids are carrying the phone. You can see where the phone is. That's usually our biggest thing.
Make them
think the
put an
presence-
AirTag in their pocket.
Yeah, I mean something like that is just
AirTag your kid.
Right.
yeah.
What's an air
I mean it works.
You don't know I'll tell you about it later.
Hey,
I
speaking
have
of-
one in my kid's backpack, so I know where they are.
Do
And
they
if
know about
That's smart.
No, I mean they don't have to. It's
do
not
now.
for their knowledge. It's for
It's for you.
I know where
Right.
my kids are, and if they would.
So basically, you bugged your kids' backpacks. Is that
Well,
what you're
I mean,
saying?
you have Life 360 on your daughter. There is no difference than me having an AirTag on my kid and you having that with her.
Yeah, but my daughter knows that that's on her
well,
phone.
I have Life 360
you-
on
If she
Zaylee,
didn't, she does now.
but Boone's not old enough to know how to work a phone or anything like that. If I told him he had an
Does he know?
AirTag,
Does he know you've got an AirTag in his backpack?
he's 6. He doesn't have to know.
Well, hey, the question is, do you care that he does not know that he hasn't?
No,
There you
I
go.
don't.
There
It's
you go.
for his safety. So I know where he is, or his dad knows where he is, or, we're able to locate our child if he goes missing.
So what if they take that air tag out and they throw it under the front seat
What if
before
I
they get
sewn
out?
it into the back patch and they don't know?
Hey, speaking of reserves, so y'all got 15. So 15, now that's approximate or
We're capped.
Yeah,
we're
we're
capped at 15
why are you
for
capped at
for
15?
insurance.
Is that something from
because
Post or?
because the county supplies them with insurance in case they get hurt while they're volunteering their duty.
Really?
And so when we took office, they didn't even have insurance. And we sat down and budgeted enough for 15 reserve deputies, which I've already been letting them know I'm going to try to get that bumped up to 20
Good.
here in the next, because we got applicants. We got people. We got more applicants for reserve deputies than we do full time. Just because of the pay,
Right.
all these guys work full time, or they have their own businesses or whatever, and they volunteer their own time to come out. Now the reserve program's come a long way. And when I say that, I can remember when I worked there in the '90s, the reserve deputies showed up in a pair of blue jeans and a uniform shirt with a badge on it and a 357 on their hip. Seriously, I mean, there was no uniform. There was no. You could bring any kind of a firearm that you wanted and carry. So sometime between then and now, it's y'all have really polished that up. Now
It's a great program.
Now they supply they buy their own firearms, they buy their own Kevlar, they buy their own duty gear, their boots, their uniforms.
Mm-hmm.
They buy it all,
Right.
and they do that through raising money. We don't do the rodeo, right? We quit doing the rodeo a couple of years ago.
Henryville Fire picked up the rodeo. The golf tournament does us a very, very good job.
We do a couple of them a year, don't we? Or
right now-
going to start.
Yes, we're looking at the potential of doing 2 a year.
Mm-hmm.
The one has kept us going, sustained us, I guess, for the past 2 or 3 years. COVID made it tough on us with the rodeo, and that's a lot of work. My hat's off to Henryville Fire for what they pull off on that, because, man, that is a lot of work. Since we've made all of our purchases, and that's one thing that I like about it. When I started, I had to buy everything.
Right.
Now, we pretty much we're taken care of. Everything's ordered. Everything's uniform. You shouldn't be able to look at a new deputy and a reserve deputy and tell the difference.
That's good.
I mean,
And they have to go through. They have to do the 80 hours up front.
Right.
yeah, 120 up front.
120 up front.
120 up front.
And then continue with their 40 hours mandated through post every year to be a reserve. And is there any stipulation? Y'all talked a little bit about this at the Citizens Academy when they graduated Tuesday night. You said something about 400 hours.
Yeah, before you can work solo on anything there, we've got to have you at 400 hours.
Is that policy or is that through post or what is that?
That's a policy that's set by the Sheriff's Department through the insurance.
Okay.
What it takes for that insurance to cover us. And I mean, it's not a bad thing. I mean,
Wade's probably got 4 million hours.
yeah. He's, I got tickled at Patrick when he was going through the file folders and there on the training. He said mine was thicker than his. Of course, 40 years of doing.
Well, yeah.
I mean.
Well, it
but,
sounds like it's
but
come
yeah.
a long way.
Yeah.
How come
yeah,
y'all don't
it's
have a
big.
reserve?
I can't answer that. I don't know. Because we did. I mean, we were probably about 10 or 15 strong when I got with the city in 08. And, I started my career off as a reserve with the Sheriff's Department in 04. As a matter of fact, my daddy had to go buy my gun because I was too young. Under Dornan, if you was in good standing, your traffic record looked good, and you were 18 with a diploma, he, with special permission, he would grant you access to become a reserve deputy. So I got on when I was 19. Kind of crazy. Every time I needed ammo, when the guys would go shoot at the firing range, I'd have to, buy Jamie Benefield a cheeseburger or something. Because I'm like, I can't go in there and buy my bullets. Would you please go buy them for me?
I saw him yesterday. Have you seen what he's driving?
Yes, I have.
He's driving.
Love the van, Jamie. Nobody's laughing.
He's he's driving the pedophile van. He calls it the
He calls it the state equipment that he likes and is not complaining about. That's what he calls it.
Every time I see him, I say, "Hey, you forgot to drop my package off at the end of my driveway."
Oh mercy! Yeah, he's tickled, thrilled about it. But yes, the reserve program. I mean, at least from my experience, there's not a doubt in my mind. I mean, Ernie Garner at one time was telling some of us reserves, "You've got to quit right now," because Post came down, or Post found out that there were several of us that was coming out so much that they actually Post had a rule.
Yep.
If you reserve, I think it was more than 180 hours a month, whether you're a reserve, full-time, part-time, they have to start paying you.
Yeah.
And so that was a 19-year-old young reserve. That was a damper when the captain comes in and is like, Grooms, you're coming out too much. Stay home.
Yeah,
or
you're going over that. Now it's 100 hours a month. You can't work 2 consecutive weeks over 20 hours. I mean, you can work up to 20 hours a week.
What do we push? We push 1 week in a month. Ain't that or is that still our
Yes,
standard?
Our standard is the requirement is to average 8 hours a month.
8 hours a month.
8 hours a month. That doesn't get a full 12-hour shift, but like myself, I prefer nights.
Mm-hmm.
I can come in and work nights. I'm probably averaging twice a month, 3 times a month, something like that. And then the little details that pop up. Got a good bunch where that I can throw out some of the crazy details on short notice, and they fill those slots to
y'all do
to
it.
get that protection.
I'm telling you, it's y'all are worth your weight in gold between you and the constables coming out and helping us when we're shorthanded and when we need to step up patrol in a certain area. It's y'all are real good about coming out.
And it's a good recruiting tool. Right now, like you said, you've got more applications right now for the reserve program than you do to be a full-time police officer, and the majority of the reasons for that is pay. But not only is it a good recruiting tool, as an administrator, you have the opportunity to get a bird's eye view on how someone is before you hire them. And just over the years, that's something that I've seen is not only do you get to see what type of person they are, you get somebody who's been a reserve for 2, 3, 4 years. One, if they're hired and they go to the academy, they're so far ahead of the other guys that go that it's generally not even funny. And then 2, once they get out of the academy, they're not your average rookie. They've got the experience. Now they've got the formal training through the state. I encourage everybody.
Not knocking the academy, but you all know as well as I do that you learn more out there working.
Absolutely.
Than you do. What you get in the academy is just very, very basic. It's very basic. And the norm is they get out of the academy, now they're commissioned, so just throw them out there to the wolves and let them go to work.
Oh, yeah.
And you can't do that.
No.
We instituted an FTO program a couple of years ago. And once we get a guy or gal out of the academy, then they go right into that program, and they're looked at pretty closely to make sure that you got to do that now.
Mm-hmm.
You just can't throw somebody out there on the street right out of the academy and tell them to to work, because they're going to mess up. And now when you mess up, the consequences are a lot worse than what they used to be.
Right.
You messed up back when I was young, right out of the academy, you got your butt chewed. Now you get indicted or worse, But anyway, so when's the fair start?
I think it's going to kick off. I know it ends the 30th, so probably the 21st next month, and run through the 30th. That should be like a
Maddie knows.
Yeah, I
Wednesday
think
or
she's-
Thursday.
are
You should have just asked
I'm
Maddie.
looking.
You grunted. Was you
It
fixing to correct
starts the 21st and goes through the 30th.
Yep, that's what I was thinking.
Starts that Thursday and then it runs through that following week, Sunday. I'm sorry, I had to think if it was Thursday because 10 days confuses me. It used to just be Sunday through Sunday, so now we're tacking on a few days. So the 21st through the 30th.
So,
The
Shelton, I
fair.
don't generally work the fair, but I do have a question. So, let's say somebody is having an emergency at the fair. What would you rather them do? Call 911 or
If they
try
don't
to
see
locate
somebody
one of
close,
y'all?
if they don't see somebody between the Rotary and they wear a vest, they have a comms. The reserve deputies are there. The police department's there. If you don't see those guys in those uniforms with those vests, call 911. And you're going to laugh at this, but our comms is built around being able to have that contact with 911. The frequencies that we use over there, 911 has that capability of talking to us on. And it's done that way on purpose so that we can get to the situations quicker. If you don't see them, call 911. They'll start, if it's a medical call, they'll start an ambulance and fire truck. If it's a fire, they'll start a fire truck over. And they'll go ahead and send ambulance, but they let us know. Then if we're just around the corner, we can get there and start. On the reserves, we've got, I know one paramedic. Trying to think of the different levels of, I think a couple of advanced EMTs.
So, do we have
So-
an ambulance and a fire truck stationed at the fair this year? Are gonna
They will be,
on standby?
they run a booth, so that's a good thing because that puts that level of training there also. The fire department has a booth. Those guys, most of them are at least EMR. So that puts a couple, at least one or two other EMTs there. Plus Rotary has some requirements that they have to meet, like for the midway or, the arena area. And then they have some trained people there.
I know Ranger Rachel does something with medical too.
Yes,
And she has
she's an
training.
EMT, I think.
Yeah, so she carries, like the medical people carry around a backpack that has a first aid kit and they're wearing the
Mm-hmm.
vest also. So they're easy to find. And they walk around and there's different ones in different sections, right?
Yep. Yeah. They sort of try to stage it. They run some carts around to where that we can move around the outside. We try to get everything away from off of the midway so that we're not interrupting everybody. Plus, if something's going on, you're having a medical problem, be it blood sugar, or be it, you broke an arm or something other, you're not in that where everybody's sitting there going, oh, it's terrible. You know how embarrassing that is. So we try to work our ways off of the midway.
Speaking of
It's
everybody,
it's like my kid that time. He got sick eating all that ice cream and popcorn. And the little fishing game where you take the hook and you hook the fish and you get like something. Well, he threw up all. I mean, this kid was projectile.
so he
And
fed the
everybody-
fishes, right?
Everybody was standing around, with that look on their face. Like, oh no! And I said, he's just throwing up. Go on, get out of here. But they had to stop.
Oh,
and
yeah,
watch it.
yeah.
How many people did we have at the fair last year?
Oh, man. Oh, I don't remember the number. And I've got that in the instant action plan.
It all
How many
depends on the
people
weather.
we?
It was a lot.
It all depends on the weather. If it's rainy, that one year, it rained almost every
every
day,
day.
and the numbers were just terrible.
Terrible.
The food, the people down what's the food line? What's that area
Food
called?
court. Yeah.
Food court. That's where I'm usually at.
Same.
Go down to food court.
Porta park.
Yeah, they were struggling, because
yeah.
there wasn't nobody coming and eating. But I think they did pretty good last year. I don't know what the numbers were, but I think they did. I think they made
had
up
a big,
for it.
What's
big
your favorite
outcome.
food at the food court?
Funnel cake.
Funnel cake.
Gotta get
I'm
a
more of
funnel
a
cake.
corn on the cob and corn dog kind of guy.
The homemade corn dogs.
Yes, they are
I
fantastic.
figured you would
And
like.
funnel-
I figured you
funnel
like the
cakes.
foot-long corn dogs. Something told me Maddie would like the
I like
foot-long corn dogs.
homemade, not the foot long. We had this discussion on the radio station this morning. You sound like Josh Pollock right now. He said the same thing, but the homemade corn dogs, funnel cakes.
And you got to wash it down with the homemade lemonade. That booth right there
oh
in the
man,
middle.
that lemonade.
Mercy.
I don't
Good
know.
stuff.
How much time we got?
5 minutes.
5 minutes. Well, let's do a recap. Tornadoes.
How do you
Can't
become
predict
a-
them.
So
They're
how do
like,
you
they're,
become
like
there?
the, they're like the Queen song. Any way the wind
Amen.
blows.
Amen.
So if
It's
somebody
just-
wants to be a
it wasn't-
spotter, do they need to contact you?
Yeah,
Sheldon?
because I'm interested.
Yeah.
And do you
um,
do you supply a vehicle?
He's
I
going to be
wish.
a terrible student.
I wish.
Just so you know.
Maddie,
He is.
that's not true.
if you're interested,
Does it pay?
no, unfortunately not. It'll
So
actually
you got to
cost
drive
you
your
money.
you got to drive
Like,
your
do
own
you see a
vehicle.
trend?
Yeah.
Spend money out of your own pocket.
I know where he's going to go park to
Yeah.
watch
It doesn't
the tornado.
Do you
Yeah.
see a trend?
It's terrible.
So why would somebody want to be a spotter?
To be honest with you, I don't really know.
To chase tornadoes.
and I've done this now for 30 years. I mean, I think the number I've had is like 27
27 what?
between
Years.
funnel clouds and tornadoes.
Oh,
Oh.
years?
Yeah,
Or
no,
spotters.
No, that's what I've seen.
Oh, you've seen
27
27.
funnel
We got to
clouds and
see funnel
tornadoes.
clouds and tornadoes.
I got you.
Yeah.
I've never seen one. I've never seen.
Oh,
I've
man.
never had my own eyes on a tornado.
Oh, I've seen the
Etheridge
Etheridge
tornado.
I've
We
seen
got to
Etheridge.
see 2 funnel clouds and the then that tornado. God, we were in. I went out to Nebraska doing some broadcast engineer work, and I couldn't tell you how many we saw. I know we ran the phone batteries down, talking to a meteorologist in Huntsville, getting directions. They were helping us with the radar because we were in Nebraska.
What do you
All
say?
places.
What do you say when you see a tornado and you call somebody?
Oh, we're
Are you
We're
calm?
like, it's hilarious. At one point in time, I really thought between all these doctorates that were in this office, and now we're mine about 4 hours in, I really thought at one point in time there was going to be a fight as to where they wanted us to go for us to get the better view. It was quite interesting listening to these doctorate level people.
How close have you been to one?
Too close.
Okay.
Yeah. Been into that point.
So funny story. So when the big one came through Etheridge, me and my dad was driving up North Locust, probably going past Kroger or Big Lots at the time, and we was listening to WLX like normal. That's all we listened to back then. Well, they started playing Tracy Lawrence's Texas Tornado. I can't remember if it was Eddie or if it was Dan. They
I'm
stopped
sure it
the
was
song.
Eddie.
It's like, yeah, we apologize for that. That wasn't done on purpose. And my dad was sitting in the driver's seat going, "Oh my goodness!" But that was a bad time.
So we've had two. We had two come through, right?
We've had 2 large ones. Had one F5 and a
That was the
strong
one.
F4.
The one that I'm thinking of. Which one was the one that went through Etheridge?
That was an F4.
Was that in '94 or no?
Hey.
When was that?
98.
Oh, dude, don't get me
I
to lie
I
there.
believe it was '98. The ice storm was in '94.
Right.
The
Yes.
tornado, I think. Was
Didn't
in,
we have the flood too in '98?
Oh man, all that
was-
stuff happened
That was
so
in
close
2008.
We did
2007.
not have the
90s.
flood in 2008.
No, I think that was
because
like
the year I
96.
graduated. Yeah, it was somewhere around
No,
that time.
I'm talking
too.
about the ones where the trailers were floating down I-24 when Bass Pro Shop got flooded. That's
No,
the one I'm
I'm
talking
No,
about.
she
talking
was
about
talking
the
about the
flood in
national-
Lawrenceburg.
Yeah, the trucks
remember
floating
that. That was
down.
before
Oh
my
man,
time.
North
No, it
Military
wasn't.
Avenue. There was a
You
guy.
could take boats out.
Yeah, there was a guy floating in his BMW.
I was like
It was
6
crazy.
or 7
I must
then.
not have been born yet.
I was 6 or 7. I remember it.
Oh,
Michelle?
man.
I'm glad we got
Who's,
to talk to you today.
What number do they need to call if they've got something that they need to ask you about as far
Probably
as
the best way is to get me on my cell phone or text it. Texting works really good.
What's that cell phone number?
And that number is 931-242-3531.
3531.
Yep.
Call for anything. Doesn't matter what you need. You want to know if it's going to rain tomorrow, or if you can swim in the creeks now without
Oh,
getting
man.
bacteria
If you want to be a
poisoning.
reserve.
If you want to be a reserve.
You want to be a spotter?
If you want to be a spotter, drive your own car, don't get paid, put your life in danger for
Right.
nothing.
But you get
Yeah.
14 antennas.
All right. Everybody say bye.
See ya.
And there